And welcome to the studio special.
Yes, cowboys and unicorns in the house. Yeah, we just struggled for about half an hour trying to make this work because I wanted to smoke a pipe in my garage while recording. But
Yeah. And I'm smoking an off-brand Ecuadorian cigar.
oh yeah,
Porch just fine.
well maybe I should just move to Ecuador. Is that
Oh, that's great here. I don't know.
all right? I'm on my way.
It costs about the same.
The cigar?
No. The internet.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been thinking I should change. Mediacom just keeps getting more expensive, and
You have Mediacom?
yeah,
Oh, you got to get federated.
yeah. I drove by their building the other day, and they have a really good deal for way better internet. So
Yeah, I just got so you get like a profit sharing or whatever.
oh yeah,
So my mom just told me like, oh yeah, you got a check for $41 from Federated, and she deposited it on my account.
nice.
And I had the ethical consideration of like we shared internet with the people who live below us.
Oh sure.
So I was like, okay, do you pocket the 41, or I think I gotta like contact my old downstairs neighbors and ask them if they have a PayPal account, because really they were paying for it too. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that you're a good person to ask.
Thanks, man.
Integrity at its finest.
That extra $40 from the profit sharing internet federation.
Yeah. Dude, my allergies are terrible, so to you and the listeners, I'm sorry if I have to sneeze a couple times this episode.
You get a little vocal fry.
Yeah, and like my nose is I probably look like Rudolph right now. It's ridiculous.
Everybody's favorite reindeer.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be a reindeer. So, I was trying to think of any good podcast conversations, and I realized I think there's a question I don't think I've ever asked you.
Yeah, go for it.
Would you ever get tattoos? / why not? Or why haven't you?
Right. Yeah. I've thought about it more so in the past than recently. I think I don't. So the first thought I have is like I don't have a lot of spending money,
Valid. Yep.
and it's not that I couldn't have gotten. It's not really a monetary thing, but like like there's something. It's just like priorities, right? It's like you want to spend your money on you're spending money on other things, and if tattoos aren't like high on your radar,
right,
you kind of have to save for tattoos or like plan it out.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. I know a lot of people seem to get tattoos like for special meaning,
right,
and purposes, and that has never like registered with my brain.
Okay.
I used to always say like if I need to remember something, like I'll like write a note. Like I have a notes app. I got Google Docs. I got paper.
Oh man.
So
I think we're like complete opposites, Dan.
I think that just doesn't register with my brain. Like,
Right.
Oh, this is like in memorial of, or I don't know.
Right.
So I think the only reason I would get a tattoo is for like the looks of it. Like what's it's like the artistic value, not the meaning.
Right. Like you would basically have to see something that looks really cool and be like, I have an extra $1,000 sitting around right now. I guess I'll get that tattooed on me.
Right. yeah, I don't know. I also like the tattoos that I like the most are sleeves, like colorful sleeves.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really seem, that's not like a great first tattoo.
Right.
So like the cost of entry, like that's my first thought of if I wanted a tattoo is like, oh, I want like a jungle scene on my whole arm.
Right.
So it's a bigger barrier of like, well, but I probably don't really want that. So
Yeah.
no, like that's kind of, I don't, the idea of like the singular tattoo with a certain meaning or like one piece, if that makes sense. Like
Yep.
one, I can't think of like a single thing that I want. It would be more like an overall look of,
Right.
I
Yeah.
want a sleeve with like an elephant and a lion and Tarzan and like a lot of greens and reds and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think so. Every single tattoo that I've gotten, like so far, well, with the exception of one, um, like are all tattoos that I've like since I was in high school, or like the very first one I got when I was like 14. I decided I wanted it, so I've always wanted them.
Yeah.
And like have very specific like things that they mean to me or whatever. But I can't imagine. So like my Jonah and the Whale piece that I got done, um, it's actually done now. So it's on my outer bicep, like half sleeve, but not the inner part of my bicep. And that was like all in all about 20 hours of tattooing.
Dang.
And I can't imagine like someone just being like, oh, well, this looks cool. Cause like, it's not fun or comfortable. Like, there's this kind of sense of like, you're sitting through and like, for me at least, that I'm earning something and like a weird kind of, a piece to like the pain and discomfort of it, you know, in that you're making something that means something to you so permanent. But I can't imagine like,
Okay.
oh, I'm just going to get a sleeve of something for fun. Like, I don't think I would have the mental stamina to just sit through it for the fun of having a cool piece, you know?
Yeah. I also think like when I think of a tattoo, I think someone else's art. And I guess maybe this could all change. Maybe this will change in 5 years.
Yeah.
But right now, when I think of like memorial or remembering things or something, I think of myself as the creator.
Sure.
And so
yeah, I can see that.
I think of like a tattoo. I'm like, I'm paying someone. It's like clothes. I mean, I guess I could have, I think it feels like it's not my art. So I didn't really do it. Like, I don't have the ownership of it. I didn't sweat and I had to endure some pain for a time, but it wasn't my skill.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think sometimes I can be like, when I think of like special things or like creative things, I have this tendency to be like, I want to control it all.
Yeah.
I want to do the whole thing, which isn't good because collaboration.
I mean, I think part of that, right, is that maybe that achiever side of you of like, if I'm going to invest a bunch of money and time into something creative, I want people to look at that and be like, wow, you did a really good job versus, oh, wow, your tattoo artist is like really good.
Right.
You know, that looking or wanting affirmation for your creative idea that then became a drawing and someone else did, where they're going to get all of the affirmation.
Yeah. Like one thing I like writing on my own website is I control like, I bought like, well, I'm not a coder, so I don't really, but I control the whole way that it looks, the whole marketing and all of the writing.
Right.
So I think I like that. Like this is fully my product.
Yep.
At the same time, there's probably, I'm not good at everything. So there's probably something that's off or could be way better.
Sure.
I've thought about this for like writing my novel someday.
Yeah.
that cliche thing. That's I'm actually gonna do it, uh, but like I'm for sure gonna get somebody else to like design the book cover and
Right.
get somebody else to edit it
Yep.
because I guess so. Some things you need collaboration for, but
Right. There's definitely something to be said though for a creative project that one person has the skills and ability to do the whole thing from start to finish. And like, there's one artist who I don't necessarily love his music, but he's like a country guy. But his first album that he came out with was completely recorded, every single instrument, all the vocals, everything was him, you know? And there's something cool to that, like the fact that he created the entirety of it, not he had a vision and he started writing something, but he had to hire, 5 other people to come add to it and make it what he saw it as.
yeah. I think sometimes for me, I at least want to know how something works or how, like I never want to like, so like if I was a musical artist, I wouldn't want to just know how to write songs. I'd want to know. Yeah, I probably don't know how to. That's not a good example because I don't know anything about music.
I mean,
You know what I mean? Like you want to have not an expertise in everything, but an understanding of the way it functions and like a taste for it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you want to be at least have a basic concept of what's making up your art, right? Like, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, well I wrote the words and I wrote the guitar, but you do whatever on the piano. I won't know what's really good or bad necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to trust that you do it justice and that you do it well.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So. Yeah, but tattoos.
How about a cowboy and a unicorn? It can go right my pet fox calf tattoo.
Yeah. It's hard because you think of how much you change in life and how your values change, and like I was trying to remind myself of that this week. Sometimes it's a good reminder, like if you're worrying about something.
Yeah.
And I think like, okay, there's how many years of my life I never worried about this because it wasn't relevant to my life that much or it didn't align with my values then.
Right.
And in 5 years, am I going to care about the thing that I'm worrying about right now?
Right.
Probably not. So maybe I should take myself less seriously.
Yeah. I guess I've always, so like my tattoos on my arms, like the visible tattoos are, like my faith and my convictions and stuff. And so I'm, fairly confident that that's always going to hold true. And then
like your faith like changed and evolved and developed and you've had a new lens based on life events and becoming a father and getting married and
for sure, but
places and
that still doesn't change. Like, it's kind of like when you listen to a song 5 years after a season of life and how that song can bring you back and all the nostalgia, and it can help you like remember where you came from and what you were going through and bring all those emotions,
Yeah, that's cool.
Like there's kind of that piece of, it's gonna be which hopefully like my life situations don't change dramatically enough that I'm like, wow, I hate all these and they're a painful reminder, like something that I'm bitter about. But so far it's been kind of cool because they're more of that nostalgic, like, yeah, this helps keep, be a baseline reminder of what was important to me at that point in life.
Yeah, no, I get that. This might sound really weird, but every once in a while I go on my Instagram and I scroll like all the way back to the beginning.
Yep.
And it's a similar thing where you look back at the photo I guess it's just a modern day. Like if you had a photo album, it's the same thing. And you
Yeah.
just get the feeling again of, oh, I remember what I was feeling when I took this photo.
Right.
And it's sort of, sometimes I see Instagram as almost sort of a diary.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
I've been using it for, I don't know, 6 years. I have 1,400 posts on there.
Yep. Yeah, I've definitely done that too. And so I think like in some, at least for me personally, tattoos kind of fall into that same like, um, reminder of, okay, here's the place I was in and here's what was important to me when I actually was felt strongly enough to go pay a couple $100 and sit for a couple hours and go through the 2-week healing process, like to actually get that. But it
Go
takes
ahead.
the right type of, like not every person is gonna, that might be a bit extreme for most people. I don't know.
Did I tell you what I told you this story before, right? The old guy that commended me for not having any tattoos.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to forget that.
Yeah.
Stocking shelves in the liquor store in Northern California. Look at this guy. And his wife goes, he might have tattoos under his clothes. You don't know.
It would have been perfect if you had just had like a giant chest piece and you just could have like taken off your shirt and been like, boom.
I don't know if I would have told him. I would have just accepted the.
I'd be like, don't judge a book by its cover. See, it's kind of a strange, and maybe I need a little bit of a change in perspective, but like my tattoos have led me to have some really, really cool conversations with complete strangers who have been like, hey, what's that? And it's a really easy segue to have conversations. And then it's also my tattoos and also like my earrings have also sparked some of the most disappointing conversations that I've ever had with people who you would respect or who you run into in a church context, and they just like completely throw everything that the Bible's saying out the window of, you can't judge a man's heart and don't look at the outward things, right?
Dave, they're just going off that verse in the Old Testament about tattoos.
Yeah, right. And then they have like their hair braided or they're wearing earrings.
They're chomping on some shellfish.
Yeah.
They're wearing mixed fabric t-shirts.
They own bunny rabbits at home.
All the regular sins.
Yeah. So like it's super interesting because I've had so many people in church context that like basically have just been like, yeah, really respected you until I found out that you had. Yeah, I really used to think that you were a great role model. It's like, okay, wow, really glad that just because.
That just reveals more about like that person though.
Right.
It feels like their level of thought almost.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where, like I said, it's far more like disappointing. It's like it doesn't, like on a personal level, it doesn't make me feel like, wow, like I'm a bad person. I don't like, I obviously feel very strongly that tattoos are completely fine. So on that level, it's not anything, but it's just disappointing to like have some interactions with people who like, there was a lady at work. Did I tell you this story?
I don't know.
I was just in a meeting. This was a couple months ago, and this woman, it was just right after, it was in the spring, right after winter, so I wear flannels all winter long, probably hadn't worn short sleeves in quite a while, and had a meeting with this woman and was wearing short sleeves. Must have been for the first time that I'd ever worn short sleeves around her. And she's like, wow, when did you get all of those tattoos? And
you must have been under the needle for hours this spring.
Yeah. I'm like, I've been collecting them since I was 18. She's like, well, I guess all I can say is that I'm really glad I've gotten to know you before I found out about those. Otherwise, I probably would have a lot of different perspectives about you. It's like I guess I appreciate your honesty, but you're saying right there that you're judging people based on outward appearance.
But don't you think, like we all judge people based on outward appearance? Like it's almost you almost can't not being a human.
Right. So the difference would be if she was like saying it in terms of like, wow, now I have a different perspective about tattooed people and I'm going to stop. It was more of like a shameful mother and like, I still can't believe this. I'm just like kind of disappointed that you have tattoos, but at least I know you're a decent person. So I guess I can kind of still respect you. It was just a weird interaction.
It probably, I mean, probably part of it has to do with like the rural area in which you live and where we're kind of from.
Right.
Because I bet in more urban areas it's way less.
And I think that tattoos were probably a lot, like, at least a higher percentage of tattoos were more out of, like, straight up rebellion to previous generations. Maybe, when our parents were growing up and stuff, they were just common and maybe more rebellious. And
that's what my dad said. He said, like, growing up in the 80s, like, where he was from anyways, it was like, that was like a demarcation
right.
of like a certain lifestyle, a certain counterculture.
Yeah.
It's way less countercultural now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a totally different thing now. So I think in general older generations just kind of immediately say, oh, you have tattoos, you must be really rebellious and have a bad relationship with your parents and not really have any trust for authority. There's just a whole package of things that go along with it.
Which makes sense. Like if that was the symbol
when
they, in their formative years of, the symbol of I don't care what my parents think and I don't have a regular job and I don't know, in a motorcycle gang or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be hard to lose that like symbolic meaning.
Right.
And you're like, oh, everyone has these now? It means no one cares about decency.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting just how things change, I guess, from generation to generation too.
Right.
Anyways, enough about tattoos, I suppose. Well, am I going to hell for my tattoos, Dan?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. But I think I'm going to play the safe side.
It was a big deal when I was like 17, 18, talking to my parents about wanting to get a tattoo, and my mom was just adamantly against it. But it was interesting because my dad being a pastor and like, knowing Greek and Hebrew and being really like basically he's a scholar, he it kind of sparked him to spend a bunch of time studying to find out, I guess, like from his perspective, like are tattoos really something that biblically like are against what a Christian should be and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because my mom was very against it, and I ended up waiting like 6 months until I basically just told her, like, I'm not going to get it until you at least promise me that it's not going to ruin our relationship for the rest of our lives. Like, you can be disappointed in me, but if it's going to be the type of thing that you're like, I can't look at my son anymore, I'm going to cry because he ruined his perfect skin that I brought him into the world. And, like,
give you that skin.
It's not worth that. But my dad, behind those words, it's like, son, like, I really don't think that there's a case in the Bible to say that Christians shouldn't get tattoos. So on that level, I'm not worried about it. You just have to, make sure you get things that are good and glorifying to God. was like, okay, I'll do that.
My dad told me, just let me know before you get one. And I, like, his concern was like the like the health, like make sure that it's a good place and that you don't get any diseases.
Yeah, I don't get hepatitis.
Which I was like a real like a smart. Yeah, I was 16 or 17.
Right.
He was, okay, if you ever get a tattoo, just like call me first, let me know,
Which
and make sure that nothing gets transferred in the process and you
right.
do it super legit.
I mean,
was like,
especially on things like that where it's like you're not talking about like encouraging your kid to go like have premarital sex or go get drunk and drive. Like, it's a very safe way to build some like trust with your kid of, hey, if you're gonna do this, like, just tell me first and then make sure that you do it the right way, because otherwise it's the type of thing that somebody does do out of rebellion and they go like to their friend's friend in their apartment and they do end up getting like some crazy disease, you know?
at UMM,
Yeah.
there was this. They have like an email list for the students and one for the faculty.
Okay.
I'm actually still in the faculty one because I worked there for 3 months in a temporary position.
Yeah.
So I still get up on all the professor and faculty news.
Ooh.
But on the email list, I think I was a senior, and somebody you would submit the email and then it would get approved by somebody within, I don't know, the central office or whatever.
Yeah.
To go out on the listserv, and so there's like this infamous email where somebody found like a kit at like a tattoo kit at the Salvation Army for like $24 or something, and I essentially it was probably like a joke.
Yeah.
But somebody put an offer out there like, I just bought this, I'm practicing. If anybody wants a tattoo, and I'm gonna butcher it. Whatever it was like hilarious in the way that it was written.
Yeah.
And it got approved, and so it went out to like every student that was signed up for the listserv.
Yes.
It was sort of the conversation like, hey, do you want to get that tattoo from that person who said they bought a kid at the Salvation Army for $24?
That is so sketchy.
I know. It was probably a complete joke, but
And that moderator is probably no longer a moderator for the email.
right. It's probably some intern, and then their boss was like, in student activities, was like, why did you let that one?
Yeah. And in reality, he just thought it would be really, really funny to do. So
you just sent this to 1,200 students.
yeah, dude. Yeah, I had some friends like during high school who got some pretty sketchy tattoos with like pen ink and sewing needles.
Oh no.
Yeah. If I was good at art, I might become a tattoo artist, but I'm just terrible at art.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah. Well, somebody
really a way
telling
to like if you think about like distribution or like scale on your art.
Yeah.
Like you're tattooing people all day, and then those people live all over the world.
Yeah.
And travel, and your art is on them. Like it's kind of a really cool way to spread that ability.
Right. Yeah. It's not just a shirt like, oh, somebody will wear my shirt, once every month, It's like,
yeah. Or like one
every
painting
day.
that you have to sell or get in the gallery or something.
Yep. Yeah. It's cool. I mean, I really think tattoos are cool. I'm okay if people aren't for them or don't want them personally, but I think they're cool.
Some tattoos are cool. There's that show of like I don't know what channel
the worst
it's on.
Tattoos,
like Bravo or something, or where they like have to redo them or cover them up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's
And there's like some dad and his 3 daughters are like, okay, he has this tattoo. It's like an embarrassment to our family.
Yep.
Can you salvage this in some way? And
uh-huh.
it's
Dude,
awesome.
Yeah, there's some of the things you'll see like on, memes or just like Facebook about, man, some of those tattoos that people get are so bad. And it's kind of sad. Like, I think that not all people really know that, like, how easy it is to go search social media and actually pick an artist that's good. So, like, you
It
can
shouldn't
have
be that hard anymore.
exactly, and so
It's
you
like open
probably
up
have
Instagram.
these people who are like, "Hey, I want my first tattoo. I want it to be a portrait of my daughter on my calf," and then the guy's like, "Yeah, for $200, I'll do it." And they don't know any better, So, hey, that sounds like a good deal. They come out having like a portrait of a monkey on their butt.
I always threatened my dad that I would get his portrait on my left pec.
Yes. I've always said I'm going to get a heart mom someday. So, could happen.
Could happen.
I've got a lot of skin left.
That's true. Does Haley have any tattoos?
Just the one little one that we both got, like a few days before we got married. We got the cute, closer in love tattoos. So when we hold hands, then like it's on both of our wrists, so it shows. It's pretty dope.
Cool.
Except for that, I want to finish my sleeve, and it's on my right arm, and it's in a really inconvenient place because it pretty much breaks up the ability to do, like, to form one full coherent sleeve. You just have random text that you have to figure out how to
incorporate.
Yeah. So I asked her the other day, I don't know if she knew that I was serious or if she was just super offended at the idea, but I was like, hey, I mean, Caden offered that he would just like re-tattoo this on my other wrist or somewhere else so that then he can just tattoo over it. And she wasn't very amused. So probably there to stay.
What is it with wives and not being amused?
I know. I just want my wife to be amused when I say really stupid things. Instead, she takes it too serious and then just gets offended. So, did you join the outdoor CrossFit gym that I saw on your Facebook?
No, I did not.
So, is it like a gym or is it just like a random outdoor workout space anyone can use?
So, this last Saturday we went to like the city. We live in the valley, and there's like a huge park in the middle of the city.
Yep.
There's a couple of big parks, but Quito it's sweet because I mean we're in the mountains. We're like 9,000 feet up, but it's not it's like green mountains. Like it's full of forest and grass, and
Sure.
it's like it's gorgeous. It's not just it's not desert at all. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Right.
So yeah, there's this beautiful park, and I don't know if it spans like a mile or a half, maybe like a half mile, like a bunch of city blocks.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, there's this area with like soccer fields, and there's a whole track that goes around, and they have like a little like dirt bike, not dirt bike, like dirt jumps for like regular bikes.
Huh.
Yeah, super sweet. So we kind of checked that out, and there was this little CrossFit area where it was like Zona CrossFit, the CrossFit zone. And the best part was, there's like the regular pull-up bars and everything, but there's these two guys just shirtless. One it was like it was classic. The one guy was maybe like 45, 48, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And he was definitely like strong, but not ripped.
Right.
Like definitely like dad material. With like just a little gut, hard, not much, and then there was this young dude who was like 6-pack.
Oh man.
And they had on like pants and no shirt.
Right.
And yeah, it was just too perfect. It was like CrossFit Zone, and then I see these people like working out in front of the whole city with no shirt and like,
Yes. See, I feel like there's always, like, in every workout, like every gym you go to, there's like the guy who's shirtless, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then there's the other guy who's shirtless, and it's just like, are you completely oblivious to the fact that you're working out right next to this dude? Or
right.
you just have no shame at all, and like, you just get a kick out of watching people, like, walk by and glance and judge you.
Yeah. It's the best. I love it. Because I'm not like I don't like to work out in groups. Like I don't really care. I'd rather work out on my own time.
Sure.
The group aspect of CrossFit, like, I don't know, it just kind of makes me, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I just think it just kind of makes me chuckle. I don't know.
Yeah. See, we're going to talk about me and wanting to do CrossFit again. But I think that I would love it just because
I can be a really competitive person, and so, like, the element of having people who are around you who basically are always pushing you to do better versus, like, if I try and work out at home, it's like, yeah, okay, I feel kind of, I worked out, I'm kind of sweating a little bit, and I don't think I can push myself like half as hard or half as far as I can if I'm at least with one other person, like whether it's jogging or working out. It's so much easier if there's someone else to push you and keep you accountable,
For sure. Yeah.
But it is intimidating to work out with like a whole group of people and women who can like do more push-ups and pull-ups and everything than you can. That's
Yeah.
probably why I don't go to Empowered Living yet.
Is it like competitive in the sense, I think of CrossFit as competitive in the sense of like people are like encouraging you and pushing you.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
like competition where I can beat you.
Right. Where someone's more like
CrossFit like that? I would
playfully
guess I don't.
talking you versus like, oh, you can do it, just 10 more. And you're like, no, I'm literally going to die. No, you can do it. You've got it inside of you. Yeah.
That sounds terrible. I hate that. I'd be like, shut up. I'm doing my workout.
If I want to stop and go to Dairy Queen across the road and eat a large blizzard, I will, dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like sports where like you're like, it's me versus you, or like our team versus your team. Like you can
Sure.
encourage your teammates, and then like, I think there's like the human, like us versus them, like,
Oh, yeah.
just reality where you're like, we're the best, they're the worst, like, let's destroy them.
Yep.
And I think that's like best, released in sporting events.
For sure.
It's like a great way to sort of, um, take a part of us that can be ugly and exercise it in a healthy way.
Right. And also at the same time, it's like you can't win every time, so it helps you work on your humility and your,
Yeah.
like, it exercises both sides of like your ability to be really competitive and like kind of feed that like animal self to just do whatever it takes to win, but also the fact that sometimes people are just better than you, so it helps keep you level
Yeah.
of like, yeah, I'm not always going to be the best at everything, just the best at 90% of everything.
I miss noon ball.
Yeah.
I'm shout out to Nate Holloman. I don't know if he still listens to this or not. But
Better. I saw him
every
today. I was going to ask.
every couple of weeks I think about noon ball and Nate, and then I go, crap, I haven't played basketball in forever. I'm gonna come back for 3 weeks to Morris and just kind of suck at noon ball.
He'll start like kicking the ball down the court, and people are going to be like, dude, this is not football.
You got to start working at Superior again, Dan. Your game's off.
Yeah, come back to me. Oh, dude. only thought about that tattoo question. I didn't think about anything else to talk about today.
You've come up with all the ideas. I haven't contributed to this podcast at all.
Dan, what is the question you've always wanted to ask me?
You?
I don't know. Uh-oh.
I've asked you more questions than I've asked most humans.
That's true.
Oh, one thing that I wonder about every once in a while is the pipe making thing.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing, or are you retired?
I'm not retired. I just kind of became a workaholic and then neglected to be a good father and husband, and I'm trying to find a healthy balance in my life.
Yeah.
Is that a valid answer?
Oh, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's super weird. Like, when I stop and I look at the last 2 years of my life, and I see, like, the fact that I went from being, like, a single dude to dating someone for 4 months, and then getting engaged, and then married in, like, less than a year. Like, and then the fact that we were only married for a year before having a kid.
It's so weird how many things and, like, how much need for me to grow and learn and change that has happened over the last 2 years of my life. It's insane. So I'm still trying to figure that stuff out.
Sometimes I think back to the way like I thought and was and acted in college, and I sort of judge myself now because I was really carefree.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways during that time, and I'm like, come on, Dan, like why can't you be as like carefree and everything's gonna work out, and who cares about this or that?
Right.
And then the other part of me is like, you have way more responsibility now, and that's probably why. Like, you're an adult, you have a job, you pay for all your bills, and you have a wife now. That's probably why you're not quite as nonchalant about everything.
Yeah, when you suddenly now have someone else who is a main priority of your life, and your income isn't just your own, and you can't just crash on a buddy's couch or not come home till 3 without like planning ahead. Like, things just change,
Yeah,
So,
I miss it sometimes.
For sure. Yeah, it's kind of...
I've had like a unique experience though of like marrying somebody who's like, let's move to Ecuador,
right.
and me being like, sure.
Yeah.
So, in
Far
some ways,
worse than I am.
right?
But we are going to Glacier on next Tuesday.
That'll be fun.
That'll be an adventure. And for those who have been confused and those who are listening, not Glacial Lakes in Starbucks, Minnesota. Glacier National Park in Montana.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Glacial Lakes.
No, I'm talking a legitimate adventure, Dan. Not a Minnesota adventure. Like, so we're going with the Frainies, so John and Johanna, and we're leaving the kids, and like at 4:00 on Tuesday afternoon, John gets off work, and we're gonna just drive the 16 hours there, like through the night, get there at like 8 a.m., try and find a campsite for like 5 nights.
Dude, I love road trips.
Me too. They're super nostalgic for me in that, like, my whole high school, we would go drive to Ottertail for fire starters every single Sunday night, and then it'd be like 1, 2 o'clock when we'd end up leaving there, and so we'd have a 2.5 hour drive home, and just, it's so fun to be trapped in a car, like, having conversations and on the open road, especially at night.
Yeah.
Best conversations happen, like,
between like 12 and 3 a.m. Not if it's just a guy and a girl. That is when you should not be alone unless you're married. But
Dave, you're such a dad. All these rules.
But driving in a car, it's good.
Last summer, my brother John, Jordan Lightsky, Charles Kane, and I we did like an overnight to Denver for my graduation.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Like, they drove from the cities to my house in Morris, and they got there at like 5. And I got off work, and then we drove through the night to Denver.
Right.
And we didn't get a lot of sleep. And John especially didn't, because I kept almost falling asleep. And so he had to take over for me, my shift.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to Denver, and John was like on this no sleep high.
Yes.
We went to Denny's and ate a bunch of food. And then we went to the campus, the University of Denver campus, and John was so goofy. He was inviting everyone he saw. He was like, "Welcome to Denver."
Oh my gosh.
And he was yelling this at people on campus.
That's awesome.
And it just is the most ironic thing. Like, it was all our first times there, and
yeah,
I don't know if it was all our first times, but welcome to Denver.
Yeah.
And Charlie Kane was getting embarrassed, and I was like, "Come on, Charles, just let him have fun."
Yeah.
We were like exploring like random like art halls on the university campus, and just like, I don't know, probably going places we shouldn't go, and like checking things out. And
yeah. Well, there's kind of something freeing about being in a whole different state and place where you're never going to see any of those people again. Like, you're on an adventure, and like, you don't really care if you're, kind of doing things that are out of the norm or whatever, because who cares? Now in Morris, you have to be a little bit more practical.
Yeah. We were at the hotel like late at night, like trying to see if the pool was still open, and
yeah,
running around all the stairs, just like acting like 12-year-old kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, just acting like you're back at like a youth retreat over the weekend with your 14-year-old friends.
But we're all adults, like actually checked into a hotel.
Yeah. Yep. It's good.
We woke up the next morning like, how come no one told us to be quiet? How did we get away with this?
So do you have any tricks for, well, you said that you were falling asleep, so probably not, but what's your trick for driving through the night, for staying awake?
I'm bad at it. You can always do the like slap your own face. My dad always did that, so I try to do that sometimes.
Okay.
I always debate with the music. Like, sometimes the music really loud wakes you up, and other times it sort of makes you unaware of the rest of the world, which is bad when you're driving, of course.
Right. I've always found that chewing sunflower seeds is a pretty good one.
I found that like some carbs. So if it's like 4 a.m. and you got to get home, like a little bag of Cheetos has a similar effect. Because at that point, you've probably reached like I'm trying to think of the economic term for this. You've had so much caffeine that whatever.
Right.
Oh, I can't think of this. There's some smart concept that I'm trying to remember. But you're not getting anything more from taking more caffeine, essentially. But switching it up with a little carbs is good.
Yeah, probably a good point. I'll have to try it. I'll bring a bag of Cheetos.
Diminishing returns.
Oh, there you go. Hey, I got a riddle for you. Are you a riddle guy?
No, but go ahead.
Like, you're never going to get it, because Gabe's the one who told everyone, but Christian and Bobby spent like a long time trying to figure it out today. And I just asked Gabe to tell me the answers. So it is, what will kill a scientist instantly, a European a few minutes later, but never kill an American?
Okay. Patriotism?
So like all scientists would die, even if it was an American scientist.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't either. And when he told me the answer, I still didn't understand it.
No, what's the answer? You gotta say.
So the answer, okay, if anyone actually is trying to figure out the riddle, you must pause the podcast right now,
Yeah.
and then click play once you think you've got it. But the answer is 73 degrees. Does it make sense to you? I can explain it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain it.
So, 73 degrees Kelvin. So scientists use Kelvin,
Right.
and then Europeans use Celsius, and we use Fahrenheit. So I don't even know which one is which, but like 73 degrees Kelvin, I think, is the one that would be like 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And 73 degrees Celsius is like 300 degrees below zero or something like that. Somebody can actually figure this out and then comment the true answer.
Okay.
The science.
It makes sense now.
Yeah, so it's like a really, really tricky one that someone who doesn't understand science like would never get. But it
People in Ecuador, like, because it's the metric system, some things I just like, I can't even figure out the conversion.
Yep.
So, like, how tall are you? And I'm guessing the answer is like 1 point something meters.
Oh, sure.
Like 1.84. I mean, who knows?
Right.
But like, yeah, if I say 6 feet or like 5'11" or whatever I am.
You're taller than 6 feet, aren't you?
I think I'm a little under 6.
No way. You're at least.
We have to check.
It's been a while.
Maybe I'm 6 feet tall.
Maybe I've just exaggerated you in my mind, so you're just like this giant god of awesome that's in another country.
It's this personality.
Right. Just inflates you.
Sometimes, so anytime you move somewhere else, like it's super cool at the beginning, and then obviously like normal life kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I remind myself of like, if I tell someone, like if I go back to the States and tell them I've been living in Ecuador and I have a job there, like that's going to sound super cool. Like you have to remind yourself how cool
Right.
what you're doing is.
Yeah.
Because it quickly becomes like, oh yeah, I'm sitting at a desk. I have a job. Just like, I don't know. So in some ways it's really similar to what I was doing in the States.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's when I lived up north in Hackensack, and there were woods and lakes a lake every mile and all that. Like you totally were like, I want to escape and go to the cities or something. And like now that I live in the land of cornfields, I'm like, yeah, I want to go back up north and be on the lake. Wherever you are, the grass is always greener.
Morris is this weird place where,
except for anything is better than Morris as far as scenery goes. Like, I hate what's the word that I'm trying to think of? Like the
prairie?
The what?
Prairie?
Yeah, just like the prairie landscape or whatever. Like, it's the worst. It's just windy and bland and different shades of brown and crappy.
I kind of like the prairie. You can see so far.
I mean, if you want to see far, just climb a mountain.
Yeah, but in the mountains, you can only see far when you're at, like, I don't know, when you're actually on the mountain, like at the peak. The rest is you're on some curve.
I'll send you. You can come back here and I'll go to Ecuador.
No, it's pretty beautiful. I think one thing that's kind of thrown me off though is like how far away things are.
Sure.
Because it's like my sense of direction, and there's so many curves, and you can see, like you'll see the mountain and it feels so close because you can see it because it's so high.
Sure.
But it's actually like really far away.
Right.
So like I'm definitely like obviously like whenever I get to like a new city, a new place, I'm trying to figure out like what's the landscape, what's the directions, where's the and it's been harder for me in the mountains than somewhere, I guess, than the prairie or
Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, like, I was always so confused about, like, when I moved to Morris, about which way was north and everything, just because it didn't make sense because I didn't have, like, landmarks and towns and, like, all that stuff down. Like, once you start to get more used to, like, oh yeah, that mountain over there is north, and the sun is always setting over here, I think that it definitely starts to become a little easier.
Yeah, the sweet thing here is like on a lot of days are kind of cloudy, but on a clear day you can see a bunch of mountains because we're in the Andes, so you can see someplace that you have to drive a few hours away. It's 15,000 feet, so
Yeah,
on a clear day it's like, oh wow,
right.
it's right there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Also, whenever like I have climbed some of the mountains, I mean, the perspective, it's so cliche, but it really, I don't know, it really kind of clears your head and you see everything so small.
yeah,
I don't know, it's given me a new appreciation for climbing mountains and stuff.
yeah,
As cliche as all that is, you kind of really do like forget about your worries.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I miss America, man.
You're coming back, and then I'm not going to let you leave. I'll lock you up in the basement with Christian.
I was wondering that. I was like, what if I come back and I'm like, why did I ever leave?
That would be bad. I mean, and good, but, like, bad for you.
It's given me, so I'm not a super patriotic person,
Yeah,
but living here has given me a new appreciation for the States.
sure.
Like I tell my coworkers, I mean, like everything in the U.S. is so fast. I was telling one of my coworkers, Francine, today, I said, in the States, I'm actually a pretty patient person. Because for Ecuadorian standards, like they call both like Kaylee and I like impatient.
Sure.
Because you're just like the rate of you like asking questions or like your expectation of getting things done.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so much quicker because everything in the States is so efficient.
Dang Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It ruined
So
all our expectations.
you're like, did you do that? Did you ask the person this? Where do I go? What's the deal?
Yeah.
And so you like quickly build a reputation for like, oh, like you need things right away. And that's not how it works.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm like, I've gotten so much more patient in these 4 months, like you wouldn't believe.
That's awesome. Are you going to be working remote at all when you're back here, or you actually have like 3-4 weeks off?
Yeah, I haven't figured it out with them what I'm going to do, but yeah, I'll do some remote stuff and freelance things as well. But,
Sure.
honestly, like they think I'm super fast. They're like, you're so fast at writing things. And I'm like, I'm going so slow.
Yeah.
Like going from Superior where they're constantly like, okay, write another thing, make another thing, make another thing, make another, like manufacturing, Midwestern work ethic.
Yep.
To
Do they like actually take naps? Like have a afternoon lunch nap break?
no, that would be nice.
Yeah. I won't.
Oh yeah, there's no real siesta.
Okay.
They eat lunch later. So I don't get my lunch till 1 p.m. and that's one of the early lunches.
Interesting.
The earliest, like, we have a small kitchen, so lunches go in shifts.
Sure.
But the earliest people who take lunch is at 12:30. But some people take lunch at 3.
Weird.
So yeah, it's a different. Also, lunches here are the big meal of the day, and they don't eat a lot at supper.
Yeah, that's just so weird.
So you eat breakfast, then you have like a big old lunch, and then you have like a little something for supper.
Which is
But
super strange since, like, you're at work during lunch. So it's not like you're able to really make a big meal.
yeah, but just think if you ate breakfast at 7, then you didn't eat till 2, you're probably kind of hungry.
Right. Like, I can see being hungry, but, like, you're at work. Or do people actually, like, cook full meals?
I mean, like they bring meals or they go out to eat. Like you bring, just like the States. What I usually do is I pack a lunch and then at about 11, I eat it.
Sure.
And then my lunch, I just eat it at my desk. And then at 1, I don't know, I just go get coffee or something.
Sure.
I just take an hour off.
Right. Interesting.
I've been writing my short stories on paper.
Okay.
Then transcribing them over to Google Docs and then to WordPress. So that's been like a new.
Oh, funky. Is that, like, just something to do during your transit time? And
Well, I've actually found that like, for me, if the I write more if the only like barrier to start writing is pen and paper.
Sure.
I don't know why that is, but you're not like, okay, I got to open a Google Doc, I got to make sure I have internet connection, I have to.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm going to go grab coffee and then I'm going to write in my notebook. And because the stories I write are so like really short.
Yep. Well,
it
yeah,
works.
the
So
restriction of, like,
You can only be creative if you're at a computer with Wi-Fi and have Google Docs open, if that's like the way that you've made your standard time to write.
it's also like, because at work I'm on a computer all the time. If you're on a break or you have free time or you're at home, you're trying not to be on a computer as much.
Yep.
So it feels less like work. It feels more like a break because it's like I'm still able to be productive, but I don't have to be at a screen.
right.
So it's kind of nice. It almost clears your head a little bit, allows you to think of a new idea. And yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, I really want to get, so for a while I've been thinking about like self-publishing,
Yep.
but I really want to try to figure out if I could get published by like an independent press.
Sure.
I'm doing research to try to like find a bunch of different independent publishers that would maybe match up with the kind of writing that I want to do.
Right.
I sort of realized, like, from like a monetary standpoint, like writing doesn't make, at least like creative writing, you're not going to make much money off of it anyways. And I'm not going to be good enough to like have it as a career.
Sure.
And so kind of just like the self-awareness of like, okay, well, why do I want to write? Like, what would be the coolest goal?
Yep.
And if we go back to like the Enneagram or whatever,
Yep.
what are we number 2 or 3?
3.
It's like that external validation.
Yep. The achiever.
And I was like, you know what? I would probably feel way better. I mean, I have no idea if I can get published or not, but,
Or you can.
but, if I didn't go like, okay, I want to get published by HarperCollins or like like if I take away like the big, like New York,
Right.
like I want to get a New York Times bestseller. Like if I lower my goals to like something more like the right fit with the right like independent press,
Sure.
I'd probably be like much more gratified in that than if I like self-published my book, because I have like that external, like somebody who has good taste like went with me.
Right. Plus, I mean, do you think you'd love all the stuff that goes into actually self-publishing?
Right. Like there's all the,
That could kind of take the like, you could write a great book and then you're going through like the year-long process of, trying to get all this stuff in order, and it kind of takes away the joy of what you're actually trying to do,
the other thing I thought is like, I don't think, so with a book, right, you need like the artistic side, and then you need distribution.
Yeah.
It's a big thing that publishers have. And I'm probably not that great at distribution.
Right.
Like,
versus
I don't,
somebody who already has all those skills.
Right. So I think I have some skills in marketing, but, and distribution is obviously part of marketing, but my thought was more like, I could probably build like enough marketing where it could be, like if I built my email list enough, it could be interesting to somebody who does do the distribution, if that makes sense.
Right. It's a value point because you say, hey, I already.
Right. I have a book, like, my goal is like, could I write a book that's good enough? Like it's like on par.
Yep.
Because I know I'm not the greatest writer, but could I write something that's good enough? And then plus, like, I have a way better marketing machine than the next guy.
Right.
And like, could that be like the selling point to like it getting published? But yeah, like printing books and like that connection, I'm probably not going to be the best at. So just trying to figure out, like, self-awareness is such a good,
oh yeah,
a good skill. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a crappy writer and I don't have enough self-awareness to figure that out, but
I don't think you're a crappy writer, but I'm a crappy writer, so I wouldn't know.
Right. It's like when I tell Kaylee she's good at Spanish, she's like, you don't know Spanish. You have no idea. Like,
you're good to me.
Yeah. That's what I tell people when I meet people. I say like, oh, my wife's good at Spanish.
Yeah.
To give them a reason of like why I'm here.
Yikes. Well, I suppose it's probably about time to wrap her up.
Yeah, that's true. I've been thinking of like rebranding this podcast. Not that there was much brand before.
Yeah?
But I'm like, I thought about like, what if this is super meta and nobody cares about this? But but I was thinking we could maybe brand this as like two friends, like trying to stay friends throughout adulthood, like their 20s, 30s.
Right.
And like we could do this podcast for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
And that would be like the unifying, like, what's the topic?
Right.
Well, there's no topic, but it's two friends who don't live in the same town but want to stay friends.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, I'll listen to their conversations.
Yeah, that would probably be better because it actually would be defining something.
There'd be more truth in it.
Setting some expectations for people a little bit more versus the Cowboys and Unicorns.
Well, we're going to keep the name, but just the...
Right, but to actually give the
framing behind it.
Yep. Yeah. I like it. I trust you. You're a better writer than me. You're a better marketer.
You're a better CRM administrator.
Hey, thanks. Doesn't take much.
I told one of my coworkers what you do.
Yeah.
Like my buddy with the podcast, he's like, he just does Salesforce admin stuff. And we're like in the process of like picking a CRM.
Yep.
We're not getting Salesforce. I looked into it, but he's like, could you ask him a question? I was like, maybe.
Hey,
My consulting fee is very, very small.
Right.
Just an Amazon River Cruise. All expenses paid.
Right. They call I'm getting into the industry terms now. But they call them fam trips.
All right.
Like you familiarize yourself. So
Oh, sure.
sometimes you'll give let's say you were a travel agent and you were thinking about selling our product for us.
Yep.
So we would like give you a fam trip so you could come for free and we'd pay for everything. And then hopefully you'd like it, and then it'd become part of like your portfolio as like an agent or an agency.
Right.
So.
All right. Sign me up. Fam trip.
Sounds good. Okay. This has been the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast.
Signing off. I'm David.
And I'm Dan.
Peace out.
Bye.